Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight, Jennifer Arnold, a retired property manager who'll be answering questions on Louis Braille. Fiona Cowie, a gallery assistant whose specialist subject is 1970s and 1980s British TV sitcoms. Dom Hewitt, a library assistant whose subject is the life and poems of WH Auden. And James Truscott, a student in French and Arabic whose specialist subject is UK rap music from 2010 to the present. Four contenders facing the alluring prospect of becoming the nation's Mastermind champion, but the very daunting prospect of the spotlight, the black chair, and, of course, the clock. 2 minutes on their specialist subject and 2.5 minutes of general knowledge. So let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Jennifer Arnold.
Your occupation?
I'm a retired property manager.
And your specialist subject?
A life of Louis Braille.
The French educator who was blind from his early childhood and went on to devise a writing system for blind and visually impaired people. 2 minutes on that subject, starting now. As a young child, Braille received instruction in religion from a Catholic priest and former Benedictine monk. What was his name?
Father Jacques Pauly.
Yes. What date has the United Nations declared to be World Braille Day, to be observed to raise awareness of its importance as a means of communication? It's the date on which Braille was born in 1809.
The 4th of January.
Correct. In 1952, to commemorate the centenary of Braille's death, his remains were disinterred from the grave in Couvray, the village of his birth, and moved to which grand mausoleum in Paris? In a symbolic gesture, his hands remained buried in Couvray.
The Pantheon.
Yes. What was the occupation of Louis's father, Simon René? In French, it's known as a bourrelier.
He was a saddler and harness maker.
Yes. In 1819, age 10, Braille was enrolled at the Royal Institute for Blind Youth. In which street in Paris was the institute based?
The Rue Saint-Victor.
Correct. When he was admitted to the Royal Institute for Blind Youth in 1819, he was allocated a student number which was embossed on his uniform, his locker and his bed. What was the number?
70.
Yes. In August 1821, Braille attended a celebration at the Royal Institute for Blind Youth where the guest of honour was the original founder of the school. What was his name?
Valentin Oeil.
Yes. In 1833, aged 24, Braille and his friend Gabriel Gautier were among the senior blind students promoted from apprentices to fully fledged teachers of the blind at the Royal Institute for Blind Youth. How much was Braille's annual salary?
300 francs.
Yes. Louis Braille's first alphabet for the blind consisted of only 25 letters because it omitted one letter rarely used in French. Which letter?
W.
Yeah. What was the name of the artist appointed principal painter in Ordinary to Queen Victoria, whose blind son was taught by Braille for a short time?
Pass.
In 1834, Braille was appointed as the official organist of an historic church in Paris. Which church?
Church, Saint-Nicolas-des-Champs.
Is correct. You had just one pass, Jennifer. The name of the artist appointed principal painter in Ordinary to Queen Victoria was George Hayter. You have scored 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Fiona Cowie.
Your occupation?
Gallery assistant.
And your chosen subject?
1970s and 80s British television sitcoms.
2 decades of comedy. Here we go. Which ITV sitcom stars Richard O'Sullivan as Robin Tripp? It led to the spin-off series George and Mildred and Robin's Nest.
Man About the House.
Yep. In Till Death Us Do Part, Alf Garnett, played by Warren Mitchells, an ardent, long-time supporter of which London football club?
West Ham United.
Yep, after the death of Leonard Rossiter, the supermarket sitcom Tripper's Day was recast and renamed Slinger's Day. Which entertainer plays Cecil Slinger in the new series?
Bruce Forsyth.
Correct. In Citizen Smith, the deluded dreamer Wolfie is the head of a hapless revolutionary group called the TPF. What do those initials stand for?
The Tooting Popular Front.
Yep. Which British comedian and game show host stars in the 70s sitcoms My Good Woman and Big Boy Now?
Tommy Trinder.
Leslie Crowther. The ITV sitcom Doctor in the House was based on novels by Richard Gordon. It stars Barry Evans. It's set in a fictional London teaching hospital. What's the name of that hospital?
St Eustace.
St Swithun's. What's the title of the 1971 spin-off series from the school comedy Please Sir? It centres on some of the pupils after they leave education.
The Fen Street Gang.
Yep. In The Young Ones, episode entitled Bambi, Rick, Neil, Vivian and Mike appear on the television programme University Challenge. What fictional college do they represent?
Scumbag College.
Yes. For the first series of the sitcom On the Buses, the bus driver, Stan Butler's overbearing mother is played by Cicely Courtnage. Which actress replaces her for the subsequent series?
Doris Hare.
Yep. What forward phrase that forms the title of David Croft's 2004 autobiography regularly appeared at the end of sitcoms, co-written and produced by Croft, as a way of crediting the actors who starred in the programme?
You have been watching.
Yes, in The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, the head of Sunshine Desserts aims to inspire his employees with tales that begin with the catchphrase, I didn't get where I am today. By what two initials is the character generally known?
CJ.
Yes. Because of You, a UK top 20 hit single for Dexy's Midnight Runners in 1986, is the theme song for a BBC sitcom that stars Carl Howman as a painter and decorator. What's the title of the sitcom?
Brush Strokes.
Is correct. No passes, Fiona. You've scored 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Dom Hewitt,
Your occupation?
library assistant,
And your specialist subject?
The Life and Poetry of WH Auden.
The renowned poet who was one of the leading literary figures of the 20th century. Here we go. The poem by Auden, which begins, stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone, is known by its first four words or by what other title?
Funeral Blues.
Yes. What subject did Auden first study at Oxford University in 1925? He subsequently changed to English and was awarded a third-class degree.
Natural Sciences.
Yes. An early poem by Auden was published in 1924 in Public School Verse, an anthology, under the name WH Auden. What was the title of the poem?
California.
Woods in Rain. What was Auden describing when he remarked that it looked like a wedding cake left out in the rain?
His face.
Yes. In June 1935, at the instigation of Christopher Isherwood, Auden married the daughter of the German novelist Thomas Mann in order to provide her with a British passport so that she could escape Nazi persecution. What was her first name?
Erica.
Yes. According to an Auden poem, which poet disappeared in the dead of winter, was silly like us, and is now scattered among 100 cities and wholly given over to unfamiliar affections.
W.B. Yeats.
Yes, Auden wrote a verse commentary for a sequence in a 1936 GPO film that documented a London to Glasgow train service. What was the title of the film for which Auden was also an assistant director?
Night Mail.
Yep, Auden once commented on another writer's work that the quality he valued most was his hawk's vision, his way of looking at life from a very great height. Which writer?
Thomas Hardy.
Yes, the title of which Auden poem refers to the date of the German invasion of Poland that precipitated the Second World War?
September 1st, 1939.
Correct. Who, according to Auden in a 39 poem, wasn't clever at all. He merely told the unhappy present to recite the past like a poetry lesson.
Sigmund Freud.
Yes. Auden was awarded a Pulitzer Prize in 1948 for a long poem that begins at night in a bar in New York City. Which poem?
The Age of Anxiety.
Yes. Auden collaborated with Benjamin Britten on an operetta that was first performed at Columbia University in May 1941. It was based on which figure from American folklore?
Paul Bunyan.
Yes. Which 1970 poem ends with the question, am I cold to wish for a speedy, painless dormition? Pray as I know she prays, that God or nature will abrupt her earthly function.
Homage to Cleo.
No, it was Old People's Home.
Oh.
No passes. Dom, you've got 11 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
James Truscott,
Your occupation?
a student in French and Arabic.
And your chosen subject?
UK rap music, 2010 until present.
Rap music in 2 minutes. Starting now, the video for the song Vossi Pop by Stormzy, which topped the UK singles chart in May 2019, features an appearance by which well-known actor?
Idris Elba.
Yes, the grime crew Roll Deep had their first UK #1 single in May 2010 with a mainstream electro dance track that features pop vocals and rapping. What's the title of the song?
Good times.
Yep. What do the letters MLE stand for in the name of the non-standard dialect often spoken in UK rap music? In the press, MLE is sometimes referred to as Jafaican.
Pass.
Which 2011 UK hit single by Wretch 3-2 with additional vocals by the singer Elle Marshall opens with the line, "The mirror can't look me in my eyes, no way"?
Don't go.
Tractor. The grime artist and television personality Big Nasty created a popular YouTube character described as a street agony uncle. He goes by the name Uncle...
Pain.
Yes. At the 2017 Mobo Awards, which rapper won the category Best Female after her collaborations with French Montana and Skepta, among others?
Stefflon Don.
Correct. At which arena in East London did Dizzy Rascal perform his Mercury Prize-winning debut album, Boy in the Corner, in its entirety in October 2016, 13 years after it was first released?
Copperbox.
Yep. What is the single-word professional name of the Anglo-French rapper who won the BBC Music Sound of 2019 accolade?
Octavian.
Correct. What was the title of the first song performed by the West Midlands grime and hip-hop singer Lady Leisha at the BBC Urban Classic Prom at the Royal Albert Hall in 2013? She was accompanied by the BBC Symphony Orchestra conducted by Jules Buckley.
Queen's Speech.
Blazin. Which author, social activist and hip-hop artist, born in 1983, is the younger brother of the rapper Ms. Dynamite?
Akala.
Correct. What was the name of the founder of the pioneering urban music television station Channel U? He died in July 2016.
Daniel Pratt.
Darren Platt. The chart-topping rapper known simply as Dave had a UK hit single in 2019 named after which part of South London where he grew up?
Streatham.
Streatham is correct. You had one pass, James. The letters MLE stand for Multicultural London English. So there you go. You have scored, James, 8 points. Well, a very tight first round there. Let's have a look at all the scores. In fourth place with 8 points, James. Joint second place, 10 points apiece, Jennifer and Fiona. First place, 11 points, Dom. So we go to the general knowledge round now. And if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there has to be a tie break. So let's ask James to join us again, please. And you've got 8 points, so you now have 2.5 minutes in which to add another 20 to it or something. Here we go. Let's see how you do. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge, starting now. Which historical figure born in 1570 and sentenced to death in 1606 is often referred to as the last man to enter Parliament with honest intentions?
Pass.
A person defined as an ailurophile has a fondness for what domesticated animals?
Rabbit.
Cats. Which novel by Jane Austen, her last fully completed work, features among its central characters the Baronet Sir Walter Elliot and his 3 daughters, Elizabeth, Anne and Mary?
Pride and Prejudice.
Persuasion. A common medical syndrome which typically involves numbness, tingling and pain in the thumb and first 3 fingers is named after which passageway in the wrist?
Pass.
What natural gelling agent obtained from various types of seaweed is a vegetarian alternative to gelatine? It's an approved additive with the number E406.
Pass.
Christopher Jones was the master and part owner of a ship that made an historic voyage to the New World in 1620. Which ship?
Mayflower.
Yes, from 1932 to 1968, the fascist leader Antonio Salazar was the prime minister and effective dictator of which European country?
Spain.
Portugal. A former bank clerk named Alexander Joy Cartwright is often credited with drawing up the first modern rules of an American sport in 1845. Which sport?
American football.
Baseball. The name of which allotrope of carbon comes from a Greek word that means to write or draw?
Pass.
The pop star Sigrid, who had her first UK top 10 single in 2018 with the song Strangers, was born in which Scandinavian country?
Norway.
Yes. Which broadcaster and journalist's first autobiography, Going to Sea in a Sieve, was published in 2012? It was dramatised as the television series Cradle to Grave in 2015.
Michael Palin.
Danny Baker. The Baltic Centre for Contemporary Art was opened in 2002 in a converted flour mill on the south bank of a river in north-east England. Which river?
Tyne.
Yes. Which French footwear designer opened his first shop in Paris in 1992? He's most commonly identified with women's shoes that have shiny red soles.
Louboutin.
Yes. What is the specific term for a long arch bridge that carries a road or railway over a valley?
Suspension.
Viaduct. Stephen Van Sant, I started so I'll finish, the guitarist in Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, played the character Silvio Dante in which television series?
Pass.
Well, I can tell you because we're out of time. The Sopranos. And your other passes, graphite is that carbon that comes from a Greek word that means to write or draw. The natural gelling agent is agar. Carpal tunnel is the thing you get if you got tingling in your fingers and thumbs and all that. And the historical figure, often referred to as the last man to enter Parliament with honest intentions, is the chap who wanted to blow it up, Guy Fawkes. You have scored, James, now 12 points. And next, Jennifer again, please. And Jennifer, you start out with a score of 10, and you have 2.5 minutes for your general knowledge starting now. What unit of measurement used to express the speed of ships is equal to 1 nautical mile per hour?
Knot.
Yep. In the children's nursery rhyme, who stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni?
Garibaldi.
Yankee Doodle. Which member of Pink Floyd reunited with the band for the Live 8 concert in Hyde Park in 2005? It was the first time he'd played with them for 24 years.
Ginger Baker.
Roger Waters. What bladed kitchen utensil used to chop ingredients such as herbs has a name that translates from Italian as half moon?
Pass.
The actor Daniel Day-Lewis announced that a 2017 film directed by Paul Thomas Anderson would be his last and said that the making of it left him overwhelmed with sadness. Which film?
Pass.
What name is given to the iron-containing protein primarily responsible for transporting oxygen through the human bloodstream?
Hemoglobin.
Yes. In which 14th century work of literature by Giovanni Boccaccio do 10 young people flee Florence to escape the Black Death and entertain themselves in the countryside by telling stories?
Tales of the City.
No, the Decameron. What flammable oil similar to white spirit is obtained by distilling the resin from certain coniferous trees? It's commonly used as a solvent in the chemical industry and as a paint thinner.
Turpentine.
Yes, the two Christian groups called the Open Brethren and the Exclusive Brethren were once part of a single fellowship established around 1830 and commonly associated with a city in southwest England. Which city?
Plymouth.
Yes. On which Caribbean island is the Test cricket ground called Sabina Park?
St. Vincent.
Jamaica. Which British fashion designer is credited with the so-called Chelsea look of the 1960s? She also helped popularise the miniskirt.
Mary Quant.
Yes. What autonomous region of northern Spain is named after a tributary of the river Ebro and has Logroño as its capital? It's perhaps best known for its red wines.
Rioja.
Yes. In 2018, which member of the British royal family had the titles Earl of Dumbarton and Baron Kilkeel conferred upon him?
Prince George.
No, but you were nearly there. It was a prince. It was Prince Harry. And you have 2 passes. The film that Daniel Day-Lewis made, and the making of it made him so terribly sad, was Phantom Thread. And that bladed kitchen utensil for chopping things like herbs is a mezzaluna. Oh,
Okay.
no, nor me. Yeah. Anyway, there we are. You have now scored, Jennifer, 16 points. And now Fiona, again, please. Right, you start with 10, and as we speak, 16 is the score to beat. Of course, it may go higher. Anyway, here we are, 2.5 minutes. Which European mountain chain extends for more than 500 miles across the continent? 2 of its highest peaks are the Matterhorn and Mont Blanc.
Pyrenees.
The Alps. Which musical note, known in North America as an 8th note, has half the time value of a crotchet?
Octave.
A quaver. Which actor played Stanley Kowalski in the original 1947 Broadway production of A Streetcar Named Desire? He was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar for his performance in the same role in the 1951 film adaptation.
Marlon Brando.
Correct. What term from Greek words for book and loving is defined as a person who collects or has a keen interest in books?
Librophilia.
Bibliophile. Nearly there. In 2018, Angelique Kerber became the first German since Steffi Graf to win a singles title at Wimbledon. Who did she beat in the final?
Kvitova.
Serena Williams. Which Conservative Party politician served 3 terms as the UK Prime Minister between 1923 and 1937?
Stanley Baldwin.
Yes. Which British publishing house is known for its extensive poetry list? It includes the works of T.S. Eliot, Ted Hughes and Seamus Heaney.
Faber and Faber.
Yes. In what 2018 film does Christian Bale star as Dick Cheney and Sam Rockwell play President George W. Bush?
X.
Vice. Winfield was the own brand name of goods sold at which chain store that ceased trading in the UK in 2009?
Woolworths.
Yes. Hubris and Nemesis are the subtitles of the individual books of Ian Kershaw's 2-volume biography of which dictator of the 20th century?
Mussolini.
Hitler. Which 1986 album by Paul Simon features the South African choral group Ladysmith Black Mambazo?
Graceland.
Yes. What form of holistic therapy is based on the principle that practitioners can channel energy into a patient with their hands, sometimes without actual physical contact? The name is a Japanese term that means universal life force.
Feng Shui.
No, Reiki. A significant pause in the dialogue of a drama when a character is unable to express him or herself at a moment of tension is named after a British playwright and Nobel Prize winner. Who was he?
Ratkin.
Harold Pinter. Table Mountain, so named because of the layers of sandstone that gave it a flat peak, overlooks which South African city?
Cape Town.
Yep. What was the previous name of the English National Ballet Company? It reflected its original location and the forthcoming events of the year following its foundation in 1950.
The Hopeful Ballet.
The London Festival Ballet. No passes, Fiona. You have now a total of 16 points. And finally, Dom, again, please. So, Dom, the score to beat is still 16, and you begin with 11. See if you can get through to the semi-finals with this round. Here we go. Which Australian mammal was recognised as a distinct species in 2014 and not as a wild dog, as previously thought?
Dingo.
Yep. What number in the line of succession to the British throne did Prince George take when he was born in 2013?
4th.
3rd. The stony outcrops on Dartmoor, known as tors, are primarily composed of which rock?
Limestone.
Granite. What word for a confidential vote, or the paper on which a vote is recorded at an election, comes from an Italian term that means little ball?
Ballot.
Yeah. For what song from the film A Star Is Born did Lady Gaga win the Oscar for Best Original Song at the 2019 ceremony? She thus won an Oscar, Grammy, BAFTA and Golden Globe within a single year.
Pass.
On which Welsh mountain, about 12 miles from Aberystwyth, do the rivers Rheidol, Severn and Wye all have their source?
Pass.
What denomination of coin is the smallest and lightest coin in general circulation in this country? It weighs 3.25 grams and has a diameter of 18 millimetres.
5 pence.
Yep. Who was sworn in as Prime Minister of New Zealand in October 2017. She became the youngest person to hold the office since Edward Stafford in the 1850s.
Jacinda Ardern.
Yes, the former tennis champion Bobby Riggs took part in 2 challenge matches in 1973, both of which became known as the Battle of the Sexes. He won the first against Margaret Court, but was beaten in the second by whom?
Billie Jean King.
Yes. Which Viennese composer was a torchbearer at Beethoven's funeral in 1827 and was buried near him on his death a year later, aged just 31?
Brahms.
Schubert. In which Central American country did the revolutionary Augusto Sandino conduct a guerrilla war against American military occupation from 1927 to 1933?
Nicaragua.
Correct. What property of a fluid, typically measured in poise or Pascal seconds, is defined as its resistance to flow? It's the inverse of fluidity.
Viscosity.
Yes. What term that can mean inheritance is used in genetics for the passing on of physical and mental characteristics from one generation to another?
Heredity.
Yes. Hashi is a Japanese name for which eating utensils?
Chopsticks.
Yep. The property names in the original American version of the board game Monopoly are streets in which East Coast city?
New York.
Atlantic City. Which 1904 novel by Joseph Conrad is set in the fictional South American Republic of Costaguana? Its central character is an Italian sailor corrupted by a stash of hidden silver.
Nostromo.
Is correct. Yep. You had 2 passes. That Welsh mountain, about 12 miles from Aberystwyth and all that, is Plinlimmon. And the song from that film, A Star Is Born, Lady Gaga, did rather well with it, was called Shallow. Dom, those 2 passes, you have a total of 21 points. Well, he did it, and with points to spare. Let's have a look at those final scores. In 4th place, with 12 points, James. Joint 2nd place, 16 points apiece, Jennifer and Fiona. 1st place with 21 points, Dom. And that means that Dom goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind. You can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
When I first sat down in the famous black chair, I was feeling quite nervy. The atmosphere in the studio was a little bit terrifying, but it soon settles down, especially once the questions start coming. I chose WH Auden as my specialist subject because he was one of my favourite poets, and I mostly knew about his earlier career, so this was a really great opportunity to learn more about his life. I'm going to start revising for the semis pretty soon, I think.